Lately, I've been hearing the claim that reducing meat consumption just isn't possible. But the evidence and numerous case studies suggest otherwise. Let's start by acknowledging the challenges. Cutting back on meat means changing eating habits that often occur up to 6 times a day. It can require building new routines, learning what a healthy, balanced diet looks like, and figuring out how to do it affordably. There can also be social stigma attached to dietary changes, and it can mean eating your favorite meals less often. It's true. This level of change demands more actions than many social or environmental causes. Take buying an electric car as an example. It may be more expensive or slightly less convenient, but ultimately it's a one-time decision. Changing your diet is ongoing. And despite centuries of advocating for eating less meat consumption globally is still rising. But just because something is difficult and hasn't succeeded yet at scale, doesn't mean it never will. Take smoking, for example. I recently spoke to someone who was a flight attendant in the 1980s. She told me that as soon as the plane took off, passengers would light up cigarettes and smoke continuously throughout the flight. The cabin would become so smoky that she could barely see through it. Today, smoking on airplanes is unthinkable. Or consider the shift towards renewable energy. We often expect change to follow a linear path, but more often, social and technological progress moves exponentially. This is evident in the rapid decline of smoking rates over recent decades and the accelerating adoption of renewables worldwide. We are beginning to see a similar curve in the movement to reduce meat consumption. Even 5 years ago, there was far less momentum. But today, major signs are emerging. The Danish government has unveiled a comprehensive plan to move away from conventional animal agriculture. In Germany, per capita meat consumption is steadily declining, driven in part by the growing awareness of climate change and environmental degradation. Progress is also being made in related areas. Japan recently became the first country to cut its national food loss and waste by over 50% compared to levels in 2000. This ties back to the is out problem, first articulated by philosopher David Hume. Just because something is the norm doesn't mean it ought to be the norm. And crucially, it doesn't mean it has to remain that way. I've seen the shift of eating less meat firsthand. Friends, colleagues, and even casual acquaintances have shared how they've cut down on meat, whether only eating it on weekends, saving it for special occasions, or eliminating it altogether. These changes weren't inevitable. They happened because people care about the environment, their health, reducing pandemic risk, and even saving money. Meanwhile, conventional animal agriculture is becoming steadily more unsustainable. Climate change, resource scarcity, and rising costs are putting more pressure on the global system. I'm not suggesting this transformation is going to happen overnight, or that new technologies like cultivated meat or more affordable plant-based proteins won't be essential to this success. But there's growing, undeniable evidence that meat reduction is already happening, and it's likely to accelerate in the years ahead. Collectively, we have a responsibility to drive this momentum through advocacy, innovation, and action, so this shift can happen as quickly and equitably as possible.